I keep saying is like one of my big things. Like, I want you to collaborate. I want you to collaborate with your communities specifically so that they can tell you what it is that they actually need and not just what you think that they need.
Sharmon Lebby is the founder of Blessed Designs Consulting and a multidisciplinary leader whose work spans neuroscience research, nonprofit leadership, ethical business, and community advocacy. She began her career as a neuroscience research associate and has spent more than 2 decades working in and alongside nonprofit organizations and mission driven ventures. Her path includes founding nonprofit initiatives, running an ethical clothing line, and building creative and community centered projects rooted in social and environmental justice. Sharmon brings a strong belief in collaboration and collective impact to her work, ensuring that her efforts amplify those of others and drive meaningful change. Welcome to the show, Sharmon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show. So, why don't you tell the audience about yourself?
Yeah, so I am Sharmon Lebby. I am a nonprofit consultant. I work with social and environmental impact organizations, really helping them to build solid foundations using communications and branding and strategic planning and collaboration strategies, which is like the really, really important part to me.
I love that so much. So, can you share the story of how Blessed Designs Consulting came to life and what inspired you to focus on nonprofit consulting?
Yeah. So the shortest story is I started a nonprofit, thought I knew what I was doing because I had worked with and in nonprofits for like 2 decades. Come to find out, I did not. Right. It was
Ah.
not as easy as I thought it was going to be. So but I did a lot of things right, and I
Mhm.
got a few things wrong as well, but people saw as I was growing and growing quickly and all the things that we were doing, and they wanted to learn too, and they wanted me to help them out. And so I would do little bits and pieces here and saw everybody just making the same mistakes that I had made as I was coming up. And I was just like, there's got to be a better way because we all using Google at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and Google's just not helping us out like Google should be helping us.
Google
And
wasn't
so
Googling.
Google was not Googling. So I was just like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so, I tried to walk people through as much as I could throughout this process and helping them learn from what I did and what, all the things I did right and then all the things I did wrong as well. But coming up, hey, it's finally finished. I now am getting ready to launch an entire academy, an entire digital course to help people go from like idea to actual launch for their nonprofit. So, yay.
Congratulations. Oh my
Thank
goodness. You
you.
want to dig into that a little bit more? Do you want to talk a little bit more about it? Are you ready for that? Or
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
is an 8 module course
Okay.
where we quite literally go from like, what is the purpose of your nonprofit? Is it a viable idea? Like, should you even be starting this? All the way to like filing that paperwork. So starting with that idea to getting ready to launch, and we take you through, that purpose, your vision, your values. What does that look like? Then how to communicate that with your branding and getting your board ready, your finances, like all that legal paperwork, the structure. Because some people immediately think, hey, I need a 501(c)(3), and like maybe that's not what you need, right? So there's quite a few other different nonprofit structures, and we take you through all of that in 8 modules. And I always tell people, it's good to take it slow because 8 modules feels like a lot, and it can, take over the course of like a month or two. But you want to build slow, you want to build it solid, and I think that's just a really important part. And like in this world that we live in, we're all hustling and trying to do things fast, and I'm like, don't do this one fast though.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can definitely see that. I can see that so much. So congratulations on that. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
I
Thank
love
you.
that. I love that. And so what does impact personally mean to you, and how has that definition evolved over your career?
Yeah. So for me, impact is really just the effect that you have on other people.
Yeah.
Um, and like a positive effect, right? Because impact can be negative or it can be positive, but you want to have like this
Sure.
positive effect on people. And I just always think of it as like you being that first ripple. Like, what do you want your ripples to look like? What does that mean? And I think that's probably how it has evolved for me over my career, because I've found throughout my life, as we wonder and like, what is our purpose in life?
Yeah.
And I've found my purpose is really in some ways to like ignite other people's purposes. And so I find have found myself to sometimes just be that first ripple, that first spark, that like first little ignition of people getting where they want to be. And I kind of want to like portray that to the rest of the world. Like sometimes that's all we're doing, right? Is just being a little spark. And that's your impact. And I think it can be big and it can be small, and success can look at like a lot of different things. And so never to diminish like the small things that you're able to accomplish and the small ways you're able to affect people's lives.
I love that so much. I like that whole ripple effect analogy. And now you got me thinking about something else. What are the characteristics that someone should kind of embody if they're thinking about going down this path?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a
Okay.
good one because I feel like a lot of people often go into this almost with that like savior mentality, like they're going in to
Yeah,
save people,
I was
or
wondering.
it's like very ego driven sometimes, or sometimes they're just looking for some tax breaks, and I'm
Okay.
like, that's not what I want to see, right? Like we don't
Yeah,
need just a bunch of new nonprofits. Like 2,500 of them are brought in like every year. I'm like, we don't need a lot of new nonprofits,
yeah,
right? We want people who
yeah.
are really trying to make an impact. And I
Mm,
want people, well, I guess in my personal opinion, like the people who get into this need to be just really focused on their purpose and like really, really focus on the change that they're wanting to see and what that looks like, because it's hard work. It's a lot, and it takes some hustling as well. You've got to be in it and you've got to want it and you have to really want to see that change. And if you don't have this idea of, it's all about this specific cause, then
mm,
you're going to quit really easily, or you're going to like get caught up in like the competition and competing for grants and trying to be better than this other organization when we probably should be collaborating with that other organization, right? And
mm.
so I feel like I'm like, how do, in some ways, you got to just take self out of it, right? You got to be willing to take self out of it and like make it about the purpose, make it about that mission, make it about the organization itself and not about you. And so if you can't do that, I don't necessarily recommend going into this.
Yeah. But that's actually the perfect segue for my next question, because that is, what are the most common strategic challenges that you see nonprofits face in their early stages? You hit on some of them a little bit there. Do you have any more?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got plenty more.
Do
I've
tell.
got plenty. I'm like, I think one biggest challenge that I see organizations face, or even just founders face,
Mhm.
is one, just they're very, very passion driven. That's not a bad thing, but the problem comes when you can't necessarily deal with the business side, right? So when you get into nonprofits, and especially when you get into that, like the tax status with the IRS, there comes a lot of um, compliance things that you need to be aware of and you need to think about. And a lot of people aren't thinking about those things, and they're not thinking about that business back end of things, and like really how to keep track of like their numbers and like the that data analysis that you kind of alluded to earlier, right? Nobody's looking at that kind of stuff, and they're not necessarily keeping track of their donors. They're like trying to get grants and trying to get money, but they don't know those systems and the operations that it takes to help sustain all that things. And which is where I feel like I come in with Blessed Designs Consulting. I'm like I've been there. I have that passion, I have that vision, but I also recognize that there's some back end business stuff that needs to happen in order to keep your organization really sustainable. And I think those are the things that come in on that like really beginning part that we completely forget about. Like we don't build that foundation. We're just going, we're just making stuff happen, and then like everything starts to fall apart. You're like, wait, what happened?
You're like, why is Uncle Sam on my doorstep?
Yes, yes.
That's not the uncle I wanted to see. Uh, so, how do branding and storytelling play a role in a nonprofit's ability to connect with donors, volunteers, and communities? Because that's like a lot of different hats that you're wearing, right?
It
So,
is.
how does that work?
I think it is probably one of the most important things that a nonprofit can pin down. I talked about those systems and that operations, and I know branding kind of gets a bad name sometimes, but I'm like, the way I look at it, branding really is just like knowing who you are, how you want people to feel, and then how you're going to communicate that to the world.
Yeah.
And being able to do that, I think, is really essential in building that trust and building those relationships with not just like donors and volunteers in the communities, but like the right donors and the right volunteers in the right
Oh, yeah.
communities. Because if you don't have your message down, then you could bring in who knows, right?
Yeah, that's so true. So true. Branding does get a bad name. It gets a bad rap as someone that's in marketing. I get it. It's nothing. I guess certain people have kind of messed it up for us, but that's all right.
You know what? No lies.
That's true. It's just, just making sure that people know who you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally get it. So, how does it look like to combine faith with social justice in practical, everyday ways?
Yeah, I love this question just because like faith has been like just this huge part of my life and part of who I am as just like a service minded person. But I think like in some ways religion and like social justice seem to be at like this crossroads, I
Mhm.
think, in the world with other people. And I'm like, to me it's like the foundation of why I'm so involved in social justice. And I think it's really like it's my faith that kind of drives me into that actionable portion of social justice. It's more than just like being on social media and
Yeah.
tweeting stuff and saying stuff out into the world, which I mean I think there's a place for that, but I think for me it drives me to take action. It drives me to be very solution oriented, and
Mhm.
it's like things can happen, right? We can move things and we can actually do things. And it's so interesting because my mom actually has a nonprofit organization called Love in Action, and I think a lot of that like just embodies like who I am and what my faith is. Like everything kind of has this actionable component to it. So,
Oh, wow. I love that. I
yeah.
love that. Okay. So after 20 years of mission driven, which by the way, I need to see some ID. So anyway, uh, after 20 years of mission-driven work, what has real impact taught you about leading with intention?
Yeah, I think we kind of go back to that self and not being ego driven, and
Mhm.
knowing what is your real purpose, like what is the point
Yeah.
of all of this, because I feel like when you're intentional about things that you want them to actually work, right? You
Yeah.
want to actually accomplish what you want to do. In some ways I tell organization like I want to help you be solid so you can make yourself obsolete, because we want like your vision to actually be realized, right? Like that's the point, right? We're not just trying to have a nonprofit for the next 40 years just cuz, right?
That's such a good point. And
Yeah.
that's why certain ones are still around. Like I just thought about that. I never thought, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
without naming names. I think we know the ones I'm thinking of. But yeah, I never thought about that. That's such a good point.
Yeah. And so I find that like when you're intentional about these things, right, you're actually trying
Yeah.
to make these things happen and really fulfill like the mission and purpose of your organization. And I find that to be really important, and I find you're also more willing to collaborate with others in order to make that happen, which
Mm.
again I keep saying is like one of my big things. Like I want you to collaborate. I want you to collaborate with your communities specifically so that they can tell you what it is that they actually need and not just what you think that they need. And
I just thought about that because a lot of people do come in there with that savior complex and they're like,
mm-hmm.
here's what we think you need. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, no, I'm mentorshiped out to death. I actually just need the money so I can execute what I need to do.
Right,
Right? Like,
please.
yeah, that's such a good
Please.
point.
Yeah.
Good point. You know what? Why do you believe? Now you got me thinking here because so many people don't necessarily think of collaborating as
Hmm.
being the first thing. They want to create their own thing. So, why do you think that's the case? And then, two, when should someone consider collaborating instead of doing their own thing?
Yeah. I love this because,
Yeah.
um, well, first to answer, I don't know. I feel like we're just very ego-driven people. Like we tend to be very driven, and I think um teamwork seems to be a little hard when you're trying to get stuff done, when you're trying to make things happen, right? It's can be difficult to get people in line with the vision and get people to do what needs to do, what needs to happen, like how
Yeah.
we get them to do what we need them to do. And so a lot of times we just go that road alone, right? It's that, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And so I think that's what I'm trying to get people to get and understand. Like, if you really want this to work, you're going to have to begin to work with other people instead of just making it happen fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the big reasons is that we just want it to happen. And so we just go and just make it
Yeah.
happen. And so we don't immediately think about collaborating with other people. I would say you should start collaborating like in the very, very beginning. Um,
Really?
just
Okay.
you
Okay.
that should be the first thing on your mind, like who am I working with, how are we going to make
Okay.
this happen, especially when it comes to the community that you're working with, like whoever that is.
Okay.
Those are the very first people that you should consider collaborating with, right? And a lot of times people are starting organizations out of their own experience, but you need to find people who have had that experience as well, because people are coming from different places, different experiences. And I think all of that knowledge and stuff is really, really helpful when you're starting to build an organization, especially as you start expanding beyond just you and your experience and what that was like for you, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and so I always say it should be just the first thing you should think about is like, who am I going to work with? And in all honesty, like if you're going to build a 501(c)(3), you're going to have a board of directors anyway. So you're going to have to already have people that believe in this mission. Um, but outside of immediately building that organization, I think when we start to reach out beyond the organization itself,
Mhm.
you should want to collaborate. I think when you have I'm trying to say, how do I say, like when you have like something to give, really is my thought. So because we want this to be like a mutual collaboration, we don't want to just constantly take from people, because a
Yep.
lot of people are like, oh, my partners, and it's just a business, like writing them a check, right? And we're gonna give them
Mhm.
some hype on social media, and we're gonna give them some press, and
Yeah.
that's all that partnership is really. But when
Mhm.
you start like doing that more lateral collaboration, you want to make sure that you have something to offer and that you're bringing something to the table and that we're not just taking things, right? And the
Yeah.
reason I say like start from the very beginning is because you should start building or building those relationships now. Like
Mm.
start, in your local area, like who are the small business owners that you need to know? Who are the other organizations that you need to know? What are these organizations able to offer you? And then what are you able to offer them? And those are relationships that you should already be building, like from the get-go, from the very, very beginning.
I want to piggyback off of that one
Yeah.
last point right there. So networking is what I'm hearing, right? Are
Mm-hmm.
there specific spots like where all the you know what I'm saying, the nonprofit folks hang out at, like all the cool kids, like where are there specific groups or that you would suggest, or is it literally just really getting out there in the community and then, working from there?
I think it's a little bit of both. So
Okay.
probably some of the biggest communities I've seen are probably like online in like Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups where people kind
Mhm.
of get together and talk about different things. Um, but I always think that you should start with your local community. And so that's going to mean just getting out there and seeing who's out there, see who's aligned with your values. Like I
Okay.
always say, not just like, your mission or purpose aligned, but values aligned as well.
Oh yeah, sure, sure.
So like make sure we all believe the same and want the same things, right? So like those are people that you should be connecting with however, whenever you can. Like I always talk about my mom and another nonprofit founder that I had met in San Antonio were really, really good at this. And I always wondered, they're both social workers. And I'm like, is it just a social worker thing?
Mm,
Because they're really good at like figuring out the resources and stuff like in the community. And probably because of the people and the clients that they work with, but they're
yes.
really, really great at building these relationships and figuring out who has what their clients might be able to need and who is
Mm,
it that they need to start building these relationships with, and not in a sense of like, I got to get something from you, but just like, hey, we're all trying to help these people together. Like, what is it that we all bring to the table?
I
And so
love
they were like, my mom and this other woman were both really, really good at just building relationships. And I love to see it. And I always take a lot of inspiration from that because they were able to build these great organizations without grants, right? And without a lot of money because they had all of these relationships.
that's impressive without
And
grant.
very impressive, right?
Very impressive. Wow. That's amazing. Amazing. So, you know, just speaking with you, you're very passionate, and I can tell that you're creative as well. So, how do you bring creativity into service, work, and life, and why does it matter?
For me, creativity is just like this outlet, right? It's fun
Mhm.
being innovative. It's fun being different and unique. I know a lot of times we look at other people and see different things and we try to find ways that
Mhm.
we're all the same. But
Yep.
I love to celebrate differences. Like I love to find that like unique thing about somebody or somebody's experience and just learn from that. I think it's just like this beautiful thing. And I think that's where a lot of my creativity comes in, is just seeing these different parts of things like brought together. And I think it just makes life a little more exciting and a little more vibrant. And I love, you can see I love some color.
Yes.
And I love just bringing these bits and pieces from all the different places I've been and the people I've met, and like just weaving them into my life and my experiences and their knowledge. Like I'm constantly learning, and I feel like this takes a little bit out of the creativity, but in some ways it's all part of it, right? It's like all this
Yeah.
learning experience.
Yeah.
And to me, that's probably like the biggest part of creativity, is just like the learning portion of it, and
Mhm.
what you are able to not just take from other people, but like draw from them, and then put it back out into the world. But and I hate to make it sound like this appropriating thing, because that's what it sounded like when it came out of my mouth.
No, I didn't get that at all.
Oh, good, good.
No, I didn't get that at all. I mean, you just brought it up, but I didn't get that at all.
But
You
I'm
don't second guess yourself. Just stay
yeah,
the course. Stay the course.
look. So I'm like, but that's the thing. Like I think it's so important to, again, just to weave all of these different pieces together,
Yes.
these different experiences, the different people, the different places, and that just makes for a more vibrant existence in general.
Mhm.
So that's why I think it's so important to me.
I love that. Yes. And no appropriation here. I didn't get that at all. Oh my goodness.
I'm just stealing from people. That's all we doing.
No, no, I didn't get that at all. I just laughed. I'm like, the furthest thing from that. I didn't get that at all. Oh my
I think
goodness.
I'm like really conscious of that just because
I can
I see it
I get
so
it.
often.
I get it. I can, you know what? It's so funny. This conversation with you, I'm totally seeing another side that I never thought about. So it's probably because you've probably been around a lot of folks that have that savior complex and they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
save the day. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
calm down. I get it. I get
Yep.
it. I totally didn't even think about that. So let me ask you this. So, what are some surprising challenges that mission-driven leaders might not anticipate when they are starting their nonprofit journey? Are there anything specific?
I think the most specific thing is how difficult it may be to get people on board. And
Mm,
because I think
I see that.
our purposes and our visions are so crystal clear to us. And we are just like so driven when we're heading toward it. And it's really difficult to understand why other people can't necessarily see that, why they're not as invested in this.
Mhm.
And because it's your baby, right? It's
Exactly.
this thing that you started and you have so much passion for it. And why while people may kind of catch on to it, it's going to be rare to find someone that's going to take that and run and have this same amount of passion and
Yeah.
love for it that you do. And I think that's probably going to be like the hardest thing for them to grasp and the hardest thing for them to deal with.
How do you suggest getting over that though? Right? Because I'm sitting here thinking if I don't know, I'm kind of stubborn. So I'm going to make you understand this idea. Um, but like but again, if you've got someone like myself, how do you kind of push past that then?
That's a really good question. So I think I'm probably like you. I just push past. Like
Yeah,
you're either with me or you're not, and I'm gonna keep going kind of thing. Like we're gonna keep
exactly.
going.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's just kind of the mentality. Again, it's like taking yourself out of it
Yeah.
and it all being about that purpose, about that goal, about that cause, about bringing this change about in your community, in your world. And I'm like, I'm part of this organization called One Square World. And I'm like, that's like my new little thing, like in your little, your little 1 square mile, whatever that community looks like. Just knowing that you have that vision was like given to you. And I always think about, I don't know if you've ever seen that. There's like a little meme that goes around every once in a while that always says, um, like you just had a, I'm a summarize because I can't remember exactly how it
No,
goes,
that's okay.
but
Go
it's just like, you have to kind of take that vision and run with it because it wasn't a conference call. When like God gave it to you, it
Yes,
wasn't a
yes,
conference call, right? Like he
yes,
didn't give it
yes.
to a
I know
bunch of different people. He gave it to you.
you. Yes, yes. I've definitely I didn't even realize that was a meme. I just man, that just resonated with me. I heard somebody say it. I'm like, yep, that's it right there. From
Hmm.
now on. Because I'm not gonna sit up here and explain everything. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Because again, it's not meant for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I
And
was curious about that. Yeah.
yeah. And I think you just have to trust that if it was given to you and if you really and truly feel like it's your purpose, that the right people are going to come
Yep.
and it's going to get done.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about anything else. You worry about what you're doing, God's going to take care of that how, right?
Yep. 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 I've seen it time and time again in my life.
Yeah.
So we are finally in 2026.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All I'm praying for is the soft life package. But anyway, uh if you had to choose one word to, you know, represent your goals for this year, what would it be and why?
I think I'm going to take yours as just soft. Like I want soft. I've been doing hard.
I'm like one of the toughest soldiers right now.
Right.
It's like I want the soft life. I've been praying for that for a couple of years now, but whatever. Uh,
Look, 2026 is the year that we get that soft life.
yes,
Like I believe it. I believe it. It's coming.
I'm claiming it. So it would be soft for you?
I feel like it would be soft. I
Here,
I
okay.
think I have been so focused and
Okay.
so driven for my entire life. And I was talking with a friend probably a couple years ago, just realizing that I had been so driven that I had probably accomplished like everything I set out to accomplish in my life. And I had felt so lost for a few years because I'm like, what do I do now? And so I think I picked things up again and started just in a new path, doing similar things but in a new way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I was like, I've been doing this a long time and I'm ready to slow down.
I get it.
But the finances are like, not yet.
Right? That little pesky bank account and wanting
What?
to have
And
some
bills
place
that
to
keep wanting to
live.
be
And
paid? Like, what is that about?
it's like
What do you mean I got to
every
pay my
month,
phone bill?
every month.
Ev- Every month.
Go on a vacation, man.
So yeah, so I feel like I'm ready to slow down. I'm ready to retire, but we not retirable yet.
I,
So
I
I'm just gonna keep praying.
I get it. I get it. I get it. Because I look at my bank account and it's like laughing at me. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, that's kind of hard. Oh my goodness. Well, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you. And I want to make sure one last question. If you could give your younger self
Mm.
one piece of advice before starting this journey, what would it be and why?
Trust yourself. Like I feel like it just goes back to that whole appropriation conversation, but I think just trusting yourself
Yes.
is the thing I've struggled with throughout my life is I've let other people and their words and their circumstances really influence who I was or what I did and didn't always really just trust what was inside of me and let that just be, kind of I grew up in a very white predominant area and just being like one of one was really difficult at times and then my dad was in the military, we traveled a lot and so I was constantly going around and I think I recognized pretty early in my life that my viewpoints and what I thought or way I saw the world didn't necessarily align with those people around me and
Mhm.
I think I let people convince me that I was wrong or this is not how this was meant to be. And especially when you're kind of growing up in a very church oriented environment.
Mhm.
And it can be a little different, sometimes.
Mhm.
But I think growing up and getting out and seeing the world and seeing how other people live their lives and how other people lived out their faith. And I was like, oh wait, maybe I wasn't so wrong after all, kind of, I'm like, because all of it still lines up with the Bible. All of it's, I still have my faith. I'm still praying. I still can do all the things and just learn to really trust myself and trust the voice that God has given me and trust what He says to me instead of letting people be like, no, He didn't say that. But I'm like, He did, though. He
Not
did.
projecting. And yeah, don't
Yes.
accept what people project.
Yes.
Hearing from you. I like that. I like that. Well, Sharmon, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It has been an absolute pleasure. In the event that folks want to get in touch with you, how can they go about doing so?
Yeah, so you can check out my website, which is blesseddesignsco.com. I am on Threads at just Sharmon.
Okay.
And then, of course, my business is on Instagram and Facebook as well as I can talk. Blessed Designs Co. is the at on those platforms, and I'm on YouTube as well. So there's all kind of platforms and different ways that you can get at me. And yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. And all of that information is also going to be on the Hustle and Faith website and in the show notes as well. Sharmon, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
For more of our conversation, stick around for behind the scenes.
You based at? I forgot where you're based at.
I'm actually in North Dakota right now. So I used to
I
be
feel
in
like
San
we should
Antonio.
explore that a little bit. Are you okay? Blink twice. You said North
Look,
Dakota.
look.
Are you okay? Blink twice. Do you need help?
How did you get lost? What? Why are
My
we not?
my so my dad is in the military and retired here. I left and went to San Antonio for like a decade. And then I came back. My sister had a baby and a little baby. And so I watch him during the day because I was completely burnt out from my nonprofit. I quit my job. I'm like, we done.
I get it. I
And
get
so
it.
I moved up and, just started working and freelancing and stuff on my own and then like built up this entire business. But I'm
That
like,
is
it's funny because everybody's here right now in this house. I'm like in the basement trying to film this and I'm like, shh.
no, this is perfect. No, honestly, it was good. And it was perfect. But that's amazing. I'm just gonna throw this out there. You're the first Black person I met from North Dakota. I feel like
I was up,
put that on
I'm
my
like,
bingo
usually I'm like the
card.
first person anybody. And I'll be like, I'm the only one. Like a lot of times I'll travel a lot for work and people are like, you're from where? They're like, is there Black people there? I'm like, oh, I'm the only one. There's no more now that I'm gone. That's it.
I honestly feel like that like when you were describing your childhood, I was like, that was me because I actually so I grew up in Oak Park, Illinois, which is very diverse. I spent the first 12 years and then I moved out to Villa Park and I was like, I counted how many of us were in the entire school. I was one of seven. And I was just like, I didn't know I was brown until I until I realized I was just like, oh, what do we do with this? I'm like, oh, this is weird. So I totally understood where you were coming from.
Yeah.
I get that, but oh my goodness, North Dakota, I think you took the cake because I thought where I was at was lily white, but my goodness, North Dakota. Y'all
Yeah.
could like take pictures and be like, we out here.
It's funny. My mom is out here trying to build up like this whole culture because she's like, she just actually had a Kwanzaa event last night. I'm like, go ahead, mom, and do your thing.
Stop it. She had a Kwanzaa
Do
event
your
in North
thing.
Dakota. Sorry. I'm not trying to knock her a little thing, but I'm just like, can I ask how many people showed up? How many
I
was
I
it?
think there was probably like, I don't know. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm thinking like 20 because mind
Oh,
you,
wait a minute. That's
I
pretty
know. But mind you, snowstorm,
okay.
snowstorm last night.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But I'm not like I said though, my mom is like very integrated into this community. They've been here 20 years now. Like she's in it and people show up like just for her. And then there was like a big
Love that.
oil boom. So there was a big oil boom and so more people are
Okay.
coming in and then the university brings in a lot of international students. So there's a lot of like African immigrants like from Nigeria and Liberia and
I'm gonna need to know how to
Uganda.
find out about this. I'm listen. I
There's 2,000 of us according to the census. 2,000
wow, look at you. You're one of the little chocolate drops. Look at you.
out of 60,000.
I would say, oh my goodness, this is wild to me. Because here's the thing, this is going to sound so bad. When you look at the map of the US, there's like a whole section that you're like, you know what I'm talking about, where you're like, yeah, I don't need to know
None of us.
anything about this section. But I'll go on to California or Vegas or, like specific spots. But like that whole Idaho, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, ah, I'm good. But no, you're smack dab in it. Yeah, that is
Like right
fantastic.
there in the middle. I'm trying to move them.
Okay, yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you, do you like it there?
Like it's not my favorite place in the world. It's not. And I think a lot of it I talk about religion a lot and I think a lot of it's here. Like this is a very like Presbyterian, very Lutheran, very
Okay, okay,
like hardcore.
okay,
It's very different from like the gospel service that we went to and you know what I mean?
okay. Because I was just gonna be like, what is everyday life? Like, how does one go? Are there salons? I'm genuinely like interested in knowing that. I'm not even trying to be
No,
funny when I say that.
no. Like there is like one actual like salon. It's a lady from where is she from? I want to say she's Ugandan. I think, or maybe she's from Ghana. I hate that I can't remember.
Okay.
But she has like an actual like salon. But everybody else, there's probably like five other people that I know, and it's all out of their house.
I was gonna say, because
And
like
then like there's one barber who can like handle the hair.
one for the entire state, man.
Like
I like, do people drive like miles and miles to go to these like specific spots? I get it. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
it's hard. It's
I
hard.
couldn't do it.
Like Minneapolis is probably like the next biggest city, and that's like 5 hours away.
Yeah.
And then there's Fargo, which, everybody knows Fargo.
Yes, I was gonna say, yeah, I love the show, but like
Yeah. So that's like an hour away.
okay.
And there's a little more culture there. There's a lot of like Somalian refugees, a really large Somalian community there. And so they have like more grocery stores and a lot more stuff, but it's still not like Black American, so it's still like a little different, but it's
Yeah,
it's
sure.
culture. It's
Sure.
better.
Okay. This is fascinating. I hope you don't mind. I sometimes have like
No.
behind the scenes. So like, do you mind if I like have some of this at like behind the scenes? Because this was fascinating to me, and I think it might be to other people too. When you said
Yeah, no,
Dakota, I
go
was
for
like,
it.
blink twice. I'm like, are you okay?
Look, I'm Lisa Ventura. I love talking about this, but I think it's always really good for me to like think about where I am and what I've been able to accomplish from this
Yes.
place.
I think you should. I would love
Yeah.
to see like an episode, just like, hey guys, this is me, Black in North Dakota. We exist.
And it's been a really interesting journey for me too,
Fascinating.
because I think since I got back, like
Yeah.
my entire intention and mindset was to leave. And I think we are just getting to a place where God is like, you didn't really want to go to Texas either, right? And look at all I helped you accomplish there. And like, just imagine what you can do here. And so I feel like I'm
Mhm.
trying to like work on this, like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see if I actually not necessarily be content here, but if I let God really use me and not like
Yeah.
constantly hide from this and not constantly trying to get away from it. Like, okay, what can we actually do with yeah.
I love this. Okay, I could talk to you all day. I don't mean to take up any more of your time, but this has been fascinating. I'm going to put this for behind the scenes because I think this has been awesome, like really, really great. So thank you so much. If you need anything from me, feel free to contact me. But yeah, this has been really cool.
And
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.